This is a Lightforce 170. Measure across the reflector and it's 170mm. The lens reflector unscrews. It's very stiff. That makes it easy to change the bulb though. One word of warning about the bulb: when you unpack it, only touch it by the prongs or have the glass covered. You don't want to touch the glass with your bare fingers. That particular bulb, that's a horizontal filament. It gives a sort of an oval beam with that. They're fitted initially with a vertical filament. This one maintains a spot beam. One thing to note about the bulbs is you need to use xenon. Although halogen bulbs will give a fairly good light, the xenon is the brightest of the lot, so you're going to get more light for the power used. I've actually got two of these and they're interchangeable. This one's the 140. Measure across there, it's 140mm. You can see the difference slightly there. There's not much in it, about 30mm. The handheld version, the lead is all coiled. It's got a cigar plug at the end. The on-off switch is on the handle. Very firm, definite click. It's a little bit noisy. If you want to change from 140 to 170, that's fine, because these use a 75 watt bulb in the 140 and you can put the 170 lens on. But if you go from a 170 to a 140, then you have to be aware that the 170 is fitted with 100 watt to start with, and it really needs the bulb changing back down to 75 watt. I use the 140 on the gun and the 170 by hand, and sometimes I do put the 170 onto the gun simply by unscrewing the reflector and changing over. There's an adjustment knob there for elevation, quite large. The lead on the 140 I've got here, the gun mounted one, is partly straight cable, partly coiled cable. It's quite long. Again, another cigar lighter plug, and the switch is in line. Again, very firm, very positive, but very noisy. And talking of noise, being plastic, these things seem to make a lot of noise if you touch them against buckles, buttons, anything like that. And also when you're using filters, there's no flip up filters for it. Them snap on, quite good fitting, but quite noisy to take off and replace. The one disadvantage I find with the Lightforce filters is when they're switched on, the lugs there, they seem to glow, and at the end you get a bit of light coming back into your eyes and it distracts quite a bit. To fit the gun lamp, you get a little clamp like that, and it'll fit the 25mm, the 1-inch tubes on the telescopic sights, or the 30mm. This one's about to go onto a 30mm scope. There's a thin piece of rubber strip there. If I was going to put that onto a 1-inch tube, the 25mm, it is supplied with a thicker piece of rubber as well, and I'd use that to pack out the mount. There's a nut and a screw head, a hinge that side. All you do is undo the nut, open it up, put it onto your scope, clamp it down. One thing to note, the hinge needs to be on the right hand side. The lamp, as you see, when facing forward, it slides on right to left. Nice firm click, it's not going to come off. The tab there, lift it up and it slides back off. Very easy, and it's a bit annoying to find out you fitted it the wrong way around. You get to go to the shoot, you arrive there, you're more ready to go, and then the clamp's the wrong way around and you have to go back home, unless you happen to have a screwdriver in the car. To charge the battery, I've got a couple of chargers here. These are made by Debon. This one is interchangeable between 6 volt and 12 volt. It's 500 milliamps. I certainly wouldn't want anything lower than that rating. It'd take far too long to charge the battery, even a small one. The normal end connector is a 2-pin, and I've adapted it for a cigar lighter there, so I can charge up the battery, the setup as I've got. This one's 12 volt only. This one's at 800 milliamp hour though, and I find this charges up the battery just a little bit quicker. It's got the standard Debenham 2-pin plug on the end, but with a variety of adapters I can sort out the battery quite easily. One thing I do have is a dimmer switch. This is a Lightforce one. Some people use the Debenham ones. These come complete with longer screws and a few washers. You'll see why in a minute, to replace these screws here. But the dimmer there has got the wires to go to the battery. There's a rocker switch off in the middle, full on, and the dimmer position, and a rotary dimmer switch there. You turn to adjust the beam high and low. When it comes, the bare wires there, you attach that with whatever connectors you want to fit onto the lamp. The actual battery that I use, it's in a Lightforce bag. This one has the dimmer switch ready fitted. As you can see there, the 4 screws in the corner with the washers, and the connections there, it's all wired up ready to go. To charge it though, what I do, I've got a 2-pin Debenham connection there. I connect this direct to the battery and I actually charge it through this connection here, the cigar lighter plug there. For some reason, I don't know why, perhaps it was just me, I had trouble trying to charge the battery while it was being wired up through the dimmer switch. Even though it was on the full on position, it just didn't seem to charge. So I've made up my own connections there. The one advantage with this as well, if you don't need the dimmer, you can still take the battery out, plug this socket in, and just run your lamp straight off the battery. The dimmer switch itself is quite easy to use. One thing that I did do with this particular setup, the straps you get with the carry bag for the battery, and it's a 7 ampere battery by the way, it was all plastic and it used to squeak and groan and make an awful noise, and I've replaced it with some metal buckles there. You don't have to replace both sides with metal as long as it's not plastic on plastic. I find that plastic on plastic is absolutely terrible. Now the dimmer switch I find is invaluable. I certainly wouldn't go without it now. As you see with this light, that's the full on position, and if I turn it over to the dimmer, I can control it as low or as high as I want to. Again, it's controlled by the on-off switch. It doesn't matter whether it's the on-off switch on the handheld or the in-light switch on the gun lamp. You can control the beam as good as you want. The beauty about this is it's the correct Lightforce one. It's rated for the power of the bulb up to 100 watts. Many people seem to think that the little Debenham one is okay, but originally that was designed to be used for a 50 watt bulb. This one I've got no issues with. It's rated and designed for the power. So that's my Lightforce setup. I'm ready to go lamping rabbits.